And here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo Yoga 9i. Now this specific build was just sent over by Lenovo for review purposes. It packs a 15.6-inch Full HD IPS display, 500 nits. We've got an Intel 10th Gen Core i7, specifically the H series, the 10750H. NVIDIA GTX 1650 Ti with 4 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of soldered DDR4, and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. $17.99 is the retail for this configuration. I think if you pick it up through Best Buy. Again, this was sent over by Lenovo. Let's get it out of the box. I believe we've got a box inside a box. So let's get down to business. And I'm excited for this refresh because it does promise, in my opinion, to be one of the best for the holiday season and going into 2021. Now, if you are looking for Tiger Lake, don't worry, I will be covering Tiger Lake laptops, but I am still waiting, unfortunately, for those to make their way down the supply chain. So Lenovo will be sending me Tiger Lake. We will also have, of course, HP. And then if anybody else decides to join the club here, of course, I will share it with all of you. I am hoping to see that big jump in performance, but again, for people that are looking for a machine right now, this does promise to be one of the best two-in-ones out there. Very much comparable to the HP Spectre X360 15T that I recently reviewed, and I may end up comparing the two since I haven't sent that back by chance. That was just lucky that it was boxed up and ready to go, and then Lenovo said, hey, you want to take a look at this, and I do think that's going to make for a very solid comparison because they're very similar machines. Now, this is, in my opinion, when it comes to build quality and audio performance, at least the C940 that preceded it, anyone who watched my review already knows it was one of my favorite laptops of 2019. And I don't expect this to be much different. It'll be interesting to see how it directly competes with the HP, because those are really my two favorites. For those of you that don't follow the channel or aren't aware, they really are the best machines of their kind. This does not have an OLED, which I wish it did, but still, not everyone's looking for an OLED, and not everyone is looking for 4K. Now, this is the slate gray finish. There is a 135-watt charger right here in the box. Let me break that out. I'm assuming it's going to be the same one that they packaged with the C940 that I covered last year. And there wouldn't be a reason for it to break from that. And lo and behold, it is exactly the same power brick. But that is what I expected. So let's get that out of the way. Nothing else really in the box. Remember, we have a pen on board. It is pocketed. I'm getting all the packaging materials out of the way as best as possible. But we have a pen on board, very similar design to the previous generation. Not a tremendous difference, but we do have new hardware, and that is often what matters. So on the right side of the machine, we have our power button, our Type A USB 3 port, our pen, which is in the garage or silo where it will recharge itself, or rather where it will stay docked, I should say. And then, of course, the Yoga branding right there on the lip of the screen. And on the left side, we've got basically this is where all the I/O is happening. So we have our power adapter, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and our headphone microphone combo jack. And that's pretty much it. The entire spine here is the 360-degree speaker hinge. And for those of you unfamiliar with the Yoga line, that is part of the beauty. You can open this one-handed. I tend to get that question a lot. I don't know why it's become a fetish for so many people to know whether or not a machine can be opened one-handed. Most of us do have two. I'm not discriminating against people who are handicapped, obviously, but if it took two hands, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But there you have it. Really sharp-looking Full HD 15.6-inch IPS display. They stuck with, we do have a camera front and center right there, and there is a privacy switch that you can just toggle back and forth. I don't believe there's any Windows Hello on board with this, so for those of you that are wondering about that, I've already answered that question. The display does support HDR. I believe it's 400 and We have a complete numerical keypad, basically the same keyboard experience as far as I can tell from the previous gen, backlit keyboard, which you're probably not going to be able to see with my studio lights on, but it is a 3-stage keyboard. All of the niceties of the previous gen, which again was really one of my favorites. And it's just going to be interesting to put this through the paces, see again how it compares with its HP counterpart. Granted, the HP does have a 4K OLED display, but when it comes to overall performance, they should be very similar, considering processor is the same, amount of RAM is the same. The NVMe drive has a slight variation because I don't believe this is an Intel NVMe, but everything else is pretty much par for the course with this machine. So the C940, again, if you followed my coverage in the past, you already know that I think it's one of the best options out on the market, and now you have another one. And ultimately, at $1,800, I know that it's going to be tough to go wrong with this machine because the C940 was so good. Now, if you're asking yourself whether or not it's worth picking up a machine like this, obviously I haven't played with it yet, haven't put it through its paces, I have not tested what it's capable of, but you have to keep in mind that yes, Tiger Lake is still on the way. We don't have actual dates for Tiger Lake in this specific build. Clearly, that's going to be very attractive. Right now, most of the Tiger Lake Intel laptops that are hitting the market are Ultrabooks, so the smaller variants, the 14-inch model, for example, of this, which is the next machine I'm hoping to get from Lenovo, and HP as well, their new 14T, the Spectre 14T I'm waiting on. Hopefully that'll be coming in soon. Those are going to be very interesting, compelling machines because there is a pretty big performance gap. But if you need something right now, just as I said with the HP Spectre X360 15T, which is a 2020 refresh with the same CPU, I know that this machine and the HP are going to be top of the class. I mean, from build quality to performance and reliability, and then having a manufacturer that really does stand behind the product. That's not a knock against other manufacturers, but boy, have I been through Dell hell in the past. And I still think Dell makes great products, but it's something to be aware of. And of course, the selling point of all of these convertibles is that 360-degree hinge that you can just, flip around and use it in different capacities. Ink with this, essentially media consumption. You can go for tent mode, which I'm not a huge fan of, but people do use it. But one thing I know for sure is that the soundbar on this Lenovo machine, just like the C940 before it, is usually best in class. So I'm expecting really good things from the audio performance of this machine. And build quality, two pieces of metal, so it's an all-metal chassis. It's just a really nice machine. I like the slate gray color, and just excited to share it with all of you. Was wondering when Lenovo was going to reach out and send one my way, and now here we are with it. So remember, this is a desktop replacement, or at least aimed at being one. You've got a GPU that's going to let you game, do photo and video editing. 4K editing should be incredibly practical on this based on the specifications. Will it be better than a beefed up desktop? No, but if you're going to have one computer that you want to be able to do it all, and you're not looking for bleeding edge to the point that you're trying to output your gaming experience to a 4K display, I think this is going to be a really good match between the 1080p display and the 1650 Ti under the hood. Also, battery life on here should be pretty damn good considering we don't have a 4K display, but we'll see. And I'm just going to check to see if we are at max brightness, and we are not. So I pump that up a little bit so that you can get a little bit of a better look at just the brightness that this is capable of. But again, this was a first look, an unboxing at the Lenovo Yoga 9i 15.6-inch model, again with the Intel 10th Gen H Series 6-core CPU and the NVIDIA 1650 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM. Remember, if you're customizing any of these builds, the RAM is soldered, the NVMe can be replaced, and it's an exciting machine to have in studio. And looking forward to giving all of you full impressions and overall performance capability from what should be a very much mainstream and popular beast of a 2-in-1. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.